What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another edition of the Countdown City Geekcast. My name is Ted, aka Steady, and joining me on the episode is the one and only David Lozano.
What's up, everyone? How about them Cowboys?
I'm not gonna jump the gun. Only one game. Yes, it's a great feeling to be bored when your team is up by that much. I will take it any day. But let's not get too excited. One game. We've all been here before. We've all been here, folks. We also got the legend himself from the Legacy of Nerd, Daniel.
What's up, guys? We got a rare simulcast of the Countdown City Geeks with the Legacy of Nerds. So that's why it may look a little bit different if you're watching from my channel today. But we are doing a Geekcast show that we're simulcasting on my channel as well.
Absolutely. And listen, we got a great show for you guys. This has all the potential to be a major turning point, a landmark for the Star Wars universe. Will it? Will it not? We're going to talk about it. But first, we need to get a real quick shout out to our sponsor, the one and only Real Retro. Shout out to those guys. They are awesome. I haven't been to their store in a minute because things have been so busy this summer. But the first chance I get, I'm getting over there ASAP because I need to see all the goodies they have. Basically, if you want stuff like this, like all this stuff and memorabilia and all this behind me, you can find items, merchandise from your favorite fandoms from going far back as a 80s, a 70s. They got a ton of things. So Real Retro, northeast side of San Antonio. Go check them out. Like I mentioned, this is going to be a fantastic episode. We are recapping episodes 3 and 4 of Ahsoka. There you go. And we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what your thoughts are about the last 2 episodes, your theories for what's going forward. Drop them in the comments. And we are now less than 2 hours away from episode 5. Like I've already mentioned, which has the potential to be a major turning point in the Star Wars universe. Will it? Will it not? We'll let everybody on the show debate about that. But real quick, I want to quickly just go over episodes 3 and 4. I usually write like very detailed summaries, but episode 3 was kind of a stepping stone for 4, so we'll just kind of get into that a little bit. Real quick summary for episode 3. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but Time to Fly goes a little something like this. Ahsoka continues the training of Sabine Wren, which may look and sound familiar as it mimics how young Luke Skywalker began his training with a guy named Old Ben Kenobi. Remember that? Hera asks the Republic for assistance in the investigation of Morgan Elsbeth's activities, but is denied. They're just as oblivious as the Empire was in Andor, apparently. There was a space battle. They get Ahsoka and Sabine get met by Morgan Elsbeth's forces in space, and they're forced to have a crash landing. Get into part 4, Fallen Jedi. Ahsoka and Sabine can no longer wait around and are searching out the enemy. General Syndulla is equally as anxious and decides to fly to meet Ahsoka and Sabine. The two of them battle Morgan Elsbeth's forces. Merrick is finally taken down, and Ahsoka is bested. Oh my gosh, what's his name? I forgot to put his name in here. Ahsoka is bested and kicked off the side of a cliff.
Balin's gold.
Balin, there you go. As Sabine gives in to the enemy. And that's where we leave off. Right before the episode ends, though, is this incredible scene that no one saw coming, me included. But Ahsoka wakes up in the world between worlds, so we think, and she hears of a familiar voice and turns to see young Master, not really a master, right? He never got that title. Anakin Skywalker. And that's where the episode leaves off. And that's where we are going to have a discussion about what the heck is going on. Now, gentlemen, Uh, there's no wrong answers here. Okay, I'm not going to hold receipts. I feel like Star Wars can do a number of things. Um, I will say that I think they will play it safe, and I'll explain that later on after you guys go. What I want in my heart is I want them to actually take a big risk and a big step forward, and I'll explain that again after you guys. But David, I want to hear your thoughts, episode 4, and what you think is actually happening at the end, where Ahsoka meets Anakin.
I have no idea. I haven't set my heart on anything that's happening. I want to see what Dave Filoni comes up with. I think I know a lot of stuff about the series. I know nothing about the world between worlds stuff in the show. So I think the big questions are: is that really Anakin? Did Ahsoka die? Did someone pull Ahsoka through? I think that's a big question. Those two big questions right there. So I have no idea what's going on. Those notes at the end of that show though are the Vader theme.
You're
So
right.
there's something ominous there, or is that just an ode to what Anakin becomes in the future? We don't know. We have no idea. And I'm liking all these theories that I'm hearing. So one of the more interesting theories is that that Anakin is actually he did accept the role of becoming the father from Mortis. You know, you have the father, the daughter who died and resurrected Ahsoka, and then you have the brother who's evil. So he's become the father. Or maybe this is Anakin from Revenge of the Sith walking through the world between worlds, which would make the world between worlds kind of like a time machine or a time um, kind of like time affecting place where time doesn't really exist,
Yeah.
which I don't think it really does in the world between worlds because it's kind of like the Force incarnate. But that might explain the line where Anakin says, "I didn't expect to see you here so soon." He might not recognize old Ahsoka. He's just seeing Ahsoka and hasn't had the time to recognize, oh, that's future Ahsoka from my timeline. But then you have Dave Filoni saying, we're not treating the world between worlds like a time machine, but it is a time machine. So it's kind of confusing. But I think I trust in Filoni, and Filoni I trust. Whatever he decides to do, I'm good with it. And I do think this show, Ahsoka, is going to be a turning point in Star Wars lore and storytelling. I'm not sure about this episode though. I hope we get a lot of explanations on what's going on. If we don't, I'm cool with it. The story still needs to go on. They didn't explain a lot of stuff in the animated shows, so I'm cool with it.
I will follow up on what you mentioned about Filoni because when he introduced the world between worlds way back when, during Rebels, he actually did put out like this 8-minute piece on like what it means and how they plan on using it and what are the rules they're trying to set. But that was years ago. Is he going to stick by his rules from way back when? Did he think that we wouldn't pull the receipts and be like, "No, Dave, you said this. You're not allowed." Well, we shall see. Daniel, your thoughts, man. We're in this crazy situation right now with Ahsoka. What do you think is happening? Where is she? What is her state? Your thoughts. Go for it.
I don't know what her state is. I would say, based on what we've seen, because we've seen Ezra pull out Ahsoka, and he wasn't necessarily deceased at the time. But then again, what version of Anakin are we seeing now? So are we seeing post Jedi, post Return of the Jedi Anakin? Are we seeing Revenge of the Sith Anakin, like David said, or Clone Wars Anakin, where he's actually in that alternate space and time era where he meets the father, the son, and the daughter, and stuff like that? And is this an in between uh, journey that he had, that we don't know about from Clone Wars or something like that? I'm kind of want to temper my expectations because I right off the bat I'm already hearing people like saying I'm gonna see alternate version of Episode 3, and I just don't know if Disney will give us that. I don't want to expect that. I honestly, me myself, I would be happy with a very good, well written monologue for Anakin and Ahsoka to like, these are the things that I battled. Luke helped me. these are the things that I had to get through. Obviously we're hearing things a lot about master apprentice situations from
Yeah,
Ahsoka and Sabine. He's probably going to relate some way with himself and her, but more importantly, Obi-Wan and himself as well, because they obviously have or had a very complicated relationship since he was a Padawan. So, um, like I said, I would be happy with the monologue. I do like I think I did tell David in his show is that I really really like the idea if he were to become the father and taking his place as the father after his death, because the ghost, I'm gonna say the ghost, but the force is all encompassing, right?
sure.
So, and he's supposed to be, we've always lost sight of that. Anakin is the one, like he is the chosen one. So
Right.
I would love them to make that mean something again, especially since they brought back Palpatine and they were like, let's just forget Anakin's sacrifice and everything Anakin went through, reclone Palpatine and do all that. But if he were to have an alternate role as, I did take up the mantle of the father, then I think it'd make Anakin's life more purposeful and more meaningful, or not life, but existence more purposeful and more meaningful. And one thing that I've heard, especially from General Kenobi, we've talked about this at length, is General Kenobi's bunker, is that I really just want him to ask Ahsoka, like, hey, how's Luke doing? Like, is he okay? Like, I just want that, and Leia, is Leia doing okay? I would really, just a one line would make me so happy. But then again, we've had these issues with not getting those one lines. I think back to Han Solo and Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker, where he could have said like, Leia, your mom brought me back in
Yeah.
that moment. Like, it would have been so simple, like, your mom put me here for you. But it was just, was that a vision? Was that a Force ghost? What is Han doing there? I just don't want us to get that. But Filoni is a much more detailed writer when it comes to Star Wars. We've seen his work with Clone Wars and Rebels, Mandalorian, and not to mention just like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a beautiful story in itself, an original story. That's something that he helped create as well. So, like I said, I think my original point, I just want to temper my expectations, because I don't want to be like expecting something really crazy and something offhand and something that might amaze me visually. I just would love a really good, meaningful moment between the two.
So I'm like I mentioned, and I'm kind of in the same boat you are, because I have not expectations. I have what I okay, it sounds like an expectation. I have a thought that they're going to play it safe, and I'm going to explain what I think that is. And then I also have my want, my wish. My wish is that they would flip this entire universe on its head, and I'll get to that in a second. Real quick, shout out to everybody in the chat. Everybody's just talking amongst themselves. LeBron Fett also says, "I think it's Force Ghost Annie." And that's how Force Ghost see things. Ooh, I like that idea.
Oh, that'd be
Very,
interesting.
very popular theory for sure. But shout out to everybody else in the chat. Wanda, Rolando, Joe. What's up, everybody? LeBron Fett. When's the last time you won a Legacy of Nerd prize, man? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. It's been maybe a couple months, probably.
Okay, so here's my thoughts, and this is all going to be based on what Filoni told us about the world between worlds back when he created it in Rebels. This was a Filoni construct. I think he had input from George on, like, maybe what it could be, but for now, my thought is that they're going to play it safe. This is not Ahsoka in the world between worlds specifically. I think that she has somehow knocked unconscious, and this is all just a construct or dream in her mind. Why would I say that? Because she's actually been here before. She's been here because, spoiler alert for Rebels if you haven't seen it, there's a point in the final season of Rebels, I believe, where Ezra Bridger goes into the world between worlds. And he actually sees through this window with a portal, right? Ahsoka fighting Darth Vader, and in a moment where she really needed someone to rescue her, because like they were in this really dire situation, Ezra pulls her through this portal, and now Ahsoka is with Ezra in the world between worlds. So she knows what it looks like, right? And so I think they will play it safe. She's just dreaming this all in her head. She's manifesting this Anakin in front of her. What they talk about or what happens after that, no clue. But I do not think that they are physically putting Ahsoka in the world between worlds. And I feel like I might be the only person to think this is all BS. And trust me, I don't want it to be. I do not want that to happen. I want the opposite to happen. But here's my thoughts behind it. Dave Filoni has already told us in when he created the world between worlds that he will not, nor should anyone expect it to be used as a time travel or transportation device. You are not, based on the rules that he's trying to instill in this place, you will not be able to travel from distant places using this dimension. If you go in one door, you're supposed to go back out that door. So in that episode of Rebels, Ezra pulls in Ahsoka. They have a chat. Ahsoka even tells Ezra, because he wants to save Kanan, he is watching the final moments of Kanan when he saves Hera and the team, and he wants to pull Kanan in and says, I can change everything. All I got to do is save the guy. Just grab him and pull him in. And Hera tells Ezra, you cannot. And so they're trying to tell us there are rules to this place, and if you break those rules, all hell breaks loose. I imagine it's something like what Doc Brown tells Marty McFly in Back to the Future. I forget the exact line or phrase that he uses, but basically, time and space destroying itself or exploding, whatever like that. The time space continuum gets disrupted. Everything dies. I don't know. Everything gets, destroyed. And so, based on what Filoni told us, we cannot really use this to the full extent of our imagination. Ahsoka has this moment where she's seeing, which I wanted to believe was post episode 2, pre episode Revenge Anakin. So there's animated Anakin. And so my first thought, I'm almost certain they're going to play it safe. She is just dreaming all this up. They'll have a conversation. She'll snap out of it. She'll wake up, in the water or on the cliffside, and she'll move forward. Now, that's my theory. My wish and my want is that they really do like fuck shit up. I would love for her to tell Anakin everything. Bro, you're being played. You get turned. Your future, your wife. They're already married. Your wife is gonna die. Oh, by the way, she's pregnant with your kids already. Because we don't know exactly if she knows she's pregnant or he knows that she's pregnant. And you're gonna fight your son to the death, nearly kill him, and you'll, all this stuff. Tell him everything. Change the future landscape of Star Wars. But Ted, that's going to create an alternate timeline. Yeah, I know. I get it. I want them to go full Flashpoint. I really do. I would love it. Can they do it though? I doubt it. That's too challenging. But you can move forward with Hayden Christensen as his current self and do something where like we kind of see what happens to him without Palpatine manipulating him. Does that mean he doesn't turn? No, it doesn't, because he's still a passionate, like rageful person, right? So he can totally kill Palpatine and then try and coerce Ahsoka to being his number two, and be like, "Let's rule the galaxy. You'll be my apprentice, and let's wreck this stuff." Right? I would love for them to do all that, just so at some future point, whether it's in this show, whether it's in the Filoni movie, where Ahsoka realizes this has gone too far. And just like in Flashpoint, Barry saves his mother to mess up the universe, and then Barry has to unsave his mother to put it all back into place. And then I want to see Ahsoka do the same thing and stop herself from saving Anakin and putting it all back into place. I know it sounds stupid, but I would love for them to take that much of a risk and really show us something that we would not expect. So I am on both. Like, I think they're going to play it super safe, but I would love for them to go to the other side of that spectrum and just give us a Star Wars Flashpoint. I know, sounds crazy. David, your thoughts on my crazy notions?
I like it. That'd be really really good. I would love to see that stuff. But I don't think I think that kind of goes against what Filoni said about the whole time machine thing.
I
So I don't
totally
think
agree.
they would do that. But I I think what's more possible to happen, and yeah, definitely shout out to Legacy and Nerd here. He's the one that brought it up on our post show that Anakin could be the father. And if that's the case, that is a vehicle for Hayden Christensen to stay doing Star Wars acting. He could always be around. They could always have the world between worlds. If Ahsoka does establish this new Jedi Order in the next galaxy, we could always visit Hayden Christensen playing Anakin, and he can age gracefully. They won't need deep fakes because if you remember the father looks super old. So that's a possibility. But I do love your Flashpoint idea. It's just I don't think they would do it
I know. I
in
agree.
this kind of. I mean, in World Between Worlds is, if you think about it, it's the perfect end to do something like that. And like what Legacy Nerd referred to earlier with the rumors, there are rumors that we are going to see some Flashpoint type stuff, but there's also rumors that they shot it and they removed it. So, I mean,
Mm.
there's rumors all abound that we're going to see some really interesting things tonight. But I'm going into it pretty much blind because I have no idea what they plan to do with World Between Worlds stuff. And the World Between Worlds stuff is in the logo for Ahsoka, so we all knew it was coming. It's just we don't know what they're going to actually eventually do with it. And we all knew Hayden was going to be in the show. We thought maybe flashbacks. I didn't think we were going to see him in World Between Worlds, but here we are. So I think they're going to play it somewhat safe, but I think we're still going to get some cool story stuff, some cool lore, some explanations on what it is, or maybe they're just going to make us kind of ponder how Anakin got there. But I would love to get some really, really nice, solid answers tonight. But I mean, we have 3 more episodes after this, so we don't know. It feels like Ahsoka is just going to be in the World Between Worlds, and then she's going to be able to walk through a doorway to go to Peridia, where the Hyperloop shot off to. So I think that's how she's going to make her way over there, and then somehow the Purgle are going to attach themselves to the ghost and they're gonna make the hyperspace trip.
Which is something Filoni said we should not expect. You cannot use a World Between Worlds as a transportation device.
Right. Well, yeah, maybe she might exit and then join Hera, and then they get on the Purgle and that whole
There you
thing.
go.
But the real interesting thing is the World Between Worlds. What are they gonna do with this if it's not a time machine? How's that conversation gonna go down between Anakin? If it is Anakin, it might be the brother that's evil from the brother, father, sister. It might be a mirage. It might be, I mean, Palpatine using the Force. I mean, it could be anything. That's what I think is one of the more exciting aspects for tonight's episode. So I'm getting more and more hyped talking about it.
Brett's in the chat saying Anakin is a spice-induced hallucination that Ahsoka has when she falls off the wagon. Yeah, let's go with that. LeBron says, "Don't forget to hit the like button, like that blonde lady hit that rock." Yes, please. If you're watching the show, please give us a like. It takes a second and it helps us out. So I love it. Fett's also calling out Legacy wearing a Christmas shirt in September.
It's the only Darth Vader shirt I have. It's my only Anakin shirt. So, uh,
I'm wearing. I'm wearing. Go ahead, finish.
no, I was gonna say, my wife saw me right before I came in, and she's like, "What are you wearing?" And she's like, I was like, "It's the only thing I have. Leave me alone."
I'm wearing my Galaxy premiere shirt. This is the shirts they sold during the premiere of Episode 7, which, in my opinion, was the last time we anticipated such a momentous shift in the Star Wars universe. Like
Yeah.
bringing Luke back at the end of Mandalorian season 2, that was a one that's been my favorite moment of all of Star Wars. But we didn't anticipate that. We didn't know that shit was going to happen. So I was happily surprised. But I feel like this was the last time that we knew and expected a big shift. And then 8 and 9 kind of let us down. But we won't talk about that right now. Let's see. LeBron says, "I wish they would do it in a way to bring back legends." Hey, that would be amazing. He says, "I hope Cal Kestis will join Ahsoka, but that's a small shot, a long shot." Yeah, Cal, you know what? They have so many great opportunities that I think you can't use them all too soon. Ezra's going to be probably by the end of the season. I think they'll save Cal for a future project. I kind of just feel that that makes sense to really
Plus,
space them out.
Cameron Monaghan's so young. Like, I think there's time for him to come in later.
I wonder what Purgles taste like. Probably not great, right?
Blubber.
Because probably not that great, but yeah. And porgs. Porgs taste like chicken. Didn't somebody say that
I
once?
think
I
somebody
don't know.
said that. I feel like somebody did say that.
Yeah,
Well, they look
definitely.
like chicken when you
Yeah.
pluck them.
Daniel, any other thoughts about episodes 3 and 4? I know I kind of skipped over everything because we're at this major, turning point. For instance, Merrick, everybody had theories about who he was, hiding his identity and whatnot. I had mentioned in a previous show that he's probably nobody special. He's just what they did in Tales of the Jedi. They had that. Oh
Night
my
Sister
god.
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Inquisitor. They had an Inquisitor with a mask on, and everybody thought like, "Ooh, who's this guy?" And it turned out it was just some random big bad. So yeah, just another random Inquisitor.
I kind of it not to bring Power Rangers into it, but it kind of reminds me, everyone was so focused on Merrick, like who is he?
Yeah,
Who is he? Someone under that mask? Like they're all analyzing his voice and everything like that. And it reminds me of the times where they would bring in like different actors for Power Rangers, and like there'd be like the mysterious new Ranger, like who's the White Ranger, and they have three possible options who the White Ranger is. Who is the Gold Ranger? There's possible four options like that. And I think he was just a distraction. Like he's just, I think that's what he is a distraction. Now that brings into question, like he just like went to smoke and like that was it. Like that's interesting. Like, and I actually want to know more about that. Is that because like that's his alien composite? Was that a containment suit? Like what's going on with that? Because I think that's a little bit more interesting than I thought than him being Ezra or Cal or cloned Kanan or Starkiller or whatever. But like I think that was kind of an idea. And then I think I saw this on David's show where he was talking about, the idea is that we're getting these characters and they're influential and they cause they have cause and effects, but they're essentially not supposed to be there. Like how Ray, like was one like the one aspect I like about Last Jedi. I still don't know how I feel about the Last Jedi, but one thing I did like was like Ray was not supposed to be there, but she changed everything, and that was kind of like the idea of like Luke was plucked out of his farm and he saved the galaxy. Like he wasn't supposed to be a part of anything, and then he was. As far as 3 or 4, that's kind of my idea. I think the idea of the Republic and the Empire not being so much different organizational wise. I think they're really trying to hit that home. They really tried to say that with the last season of The Mandalorian. They're kind of saying it again, like really, what's the difference? Um, and you kind of look at it and you're kind of seeing like, well, I don't see much difference. They're like repurposing these Empire and reconditioning them and everything. Like That seems pretty extreme to me. Seems something like the Empire would do. Um, as far as your idea of Flashpoint, I would love for them. Like they've already shown they're changing rules. Like Sabine is already shown that she is not force sensitive, and we have not heard about her midichlorian count or anything like that. But now we're hearing that she can be a Jedi, and we've never heard that before because we've always heard that the force sensitives could be Jedi, and even then, if they're not good enough, they're sent off to the farm to make plants grow. Like that's what we've heard, and uh for them to go in and to turn it upside its head, I think it'd be really interesting if they do that. I don't know how the fan base would take it if they were to change like every rule of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about Obi-Wan Kenobi showing up and he's now played by George Clooney. That could be an issue as well. So I don't I just don't know. I don't see them like doing anything drastic. I just see them if they're going to do anything, they might change a few rules that will serve the story going forward. Like Dave said, like having Anakin there to be able to him to drop in as the all-encompassing power, that kind of oversees everything, of a morphin master, if you will. But that's some sort of my idea. Again, kind of going back to 3 and 4, I think the series has progressed really well thus far. I had saw a lot of complaints about episode 1 and episode 2 being like people didn't like it, and it just seemed like so much like a first chapter. Like it was like opening a book. Like here you are reacquainted, and I feel like not only did we have to reacquaint with characters, we were teaching new people who they were as well. So though I expect it seems to have built every single episode build very, very well into the story. The question is if they can keep up with the pace that they're at.
I agree with you. And to people who were like really iffy on the beginning of the show, what do you expect? They just can't go like
Yeah.
warp speed from the start. You need to build the anticipation. You need to get the audience invested in your project. And so you have to take the time to do that.
I was
Plus with your
really surprised to see Anakin episode 4. I was really expecting that episode 7. But I mean, Ezra is our MacGuffin in this case for
yeah.
our typical Star Wars George Lucas written story. So it would make sense that you would bring in Anakin in the middle, and then Ezra is going to be their thing. I have this like nightmare that they're going to get to Ezra, and then like they'll already have Thrawn there, they'll already have Balin, and they'll have Ezra tied up, and then as soon as Sabine and Ahsoka walk in, they just like get rid of Ezra right there. Like that's my nightmare, and I'm like, oh, that would just like make so many people angry. Like,
Filoni wouldn't dare. Filoni knows better. He saw how we reacted to Han's death. Yeah, no, he wouldn't
I
do
can
that
just
to
see
us.
it. Like literally, the only word as Ezra gets out is Ahsoka or Sabine, and then they just kill him right there and then.
Brett's in the chat saying, "How about a flashpoint where Anakin takes information back, still goes to the dark side, which that would be my wish, but takes the high ground so he can kill Obi-Wan and raise Luke and Leia himself. They end up killing Palpatine and rule the galaxy together. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how glorious that would be?" And people are like, "What are you talking about? He's not supposed to, do that." I'm like, "Yeah." It is far more interesting to see your heroes go bad, Breaking Bad. It's much more interesting seeing your heroes turn to the dark side, for example, than it is just seeing, your heroes overcoming the villain or the foe of the week. And I'm not saying that this is how the universe would stay. I think that we can see it happen. I'm not really look. I'm saying I wish it would happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying I wish. They won't do it though. It's far too challenging. I wish it would happen to see how the universe would change, and then Ahsoka would have to undo it because Anakin still turns, and things are worse than they ever were. Like that would be fascinating to witness, but they don't have the balls to do that.
If they did
I'm
do that,
telling you, they
it would
don't.
be a total admission that the sequel trilogy was not good.
I mean, you can say that, or you can just say, like I mentioned, they're going to undo it. Like if
Yeah.
they decide to do go through with this, they still have to undo it. They can't leave it the way it is. So Ahsoka would have to, or Sabine. You know what? You know what's really telling and interesting is that 4 episodes in, I felt like this was mimicking old Ben Kenobi and Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, to the point that I feel like Ahsoka would pass as um Kenobi did. Like she would just disappear. Robes would fall on the ground. She would become one with the Force, and then Sabine would carry on. Let's see, Daniel. I feel like your time is up.
Yeah, I gotta
You're gonna
go,
head
guys.
out. No worries, man. I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you after episode 5, man.
Excellent. See you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Peace. LeBron Fetts in the chat saying The Last Jedi is the worst movie I ever saw. It's it was definitely jarring because I feel like thematically it wasn't cohesive with the entire sequel trilogy, and that's I feel like where the fault lies. As far as like a really bad movie, I can't say that because I've seen some pretty crappy movies. But you're right that a lot of people felt really strongly about it, and he likes the Rise of Skywalker, which is cool, man. Rise of Skywalker maybe might have been a step in the right direction, but I think too many ideas all at once. Let's see. Let's see. Josh is in the chat. What's going on, Josh? Brett says we deserve a Star Wars multiverse.
I've been saying that for years. We can have the canonical timeline. That's fine. But we can do Elseworld type stuff, like what DC's about to do. And you can have Star Killer. You can have all the Legends novels. You can have Thrawn in a different way. And it might confuse some people, but people will get it. Just market it correctly. And there's a lot of Star Wars stories you can do, a lot of stuff. Rogue Squadron, the books from the 90s. You can make all that. You can make all the novels, all the Disney canon novels into live action. You could do that as well and say these are novel related live action storytelling. I mean, there's so many things they could do that people would love. But of course, right now, I think the issue is money right now. And I don't know if you saw it, Ted, but Disney just struck a deal with Spectrum to go back on Spectrum Charter Cable.
Ooh, did not see that.
And the deal stipulates that for every person that subscribes to a certain tier, they get Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. And I don't think Hulu, but yeah, Disney Plus is going to be out there in more homes now.
Wow. Like going forward, or is that like a limited time? Do you know?
Going forward, there's specific
Wow.
tiers. If you go to Spectrum, by a specific tier, you get Disney Plus. It's the ad version of Disney Plus, but I mean, you'll still get Disney Plus. You'll still get access to all this stuff. So right now, Disney is at a point of transition where they're trying to figure out how to make more money. So
That's amazing. If you're in the
yeah.
chat and you got Spectrum, let let Dave know how excited you are about that news. We're gonna finish our discussion in just a second, but first, I want to take a quick moment to recognize. Going down at the end of this month, September 28th through October 1st, sorry, 29th through October 1st, is CadabraCon happening in Portland, Texas. The Countdown City Geeks Network is going to be in attendance. We are going to be moderating a ton of panels, conducting a lot of interviews, and we're going to have a booth. So come down in South Texas, come hang out with us, and our buddy Daniel Logan is also going to be in attendance. Young Boba Fett himself. He's such an amazing guy. He's super cool to hang out with. I already have done an interview with him. If you want to check that out, head on over to our YouTube page after this stream, and you can go check that out before Ahsoka episode 5, of course. But yeah, Daniel's a fantastic guest, and he's great with the fans. I he was also a great friend of Jason David Frank. Jason David Frank, who we lost um, tragically, and his birthday he would have been 50. I believe it was last week. Wow, this is all coming back now. He was going to be turned 50 last week. I got to hang out. Me and Daniel actually was just on the show. Me and Daniel got to hang out with Jason's daughter at a meet and greet event this past Sunday, and she's carrying on the legacy. No pun intended for Daniel, but she's carrying on the legacy, and she's going to be in Legend of the White Dragon, which is a Bat in the Sun production, where they created this sort of Elseworlds Power Ranger movie. It's not an official Power Ranger project, but it's Jason David Frank's last film, and his daughter is also in it. And so she's carrying on his memory by meeting with fans and talking to folks about the Legend of the White tangent here. Daniel Logan, he hung out with Jason a lot because the two of them they went to several conventions together and they were really close. And Daniel, when I interviewed Daniel, he spoke about Jason very highly. Said he was the best with the fans, and I agree because I've met Jason on a couple of occasions, and Jason was absolutely the best. So come see us at CadabraCon at the end of the month in Portland, Texas, which is like 20 minutes north of Corpus Christi, and let's have a great time. Back to the Ahsoka show. We're gonna jump off here in a little bit, but I did have one final topic I wanted to talk about, and that is Balin. I feel like we're being set up for a major twist here. And Dave, you can either agree with me or not. It's totally fine. But Balin, I feel like, has shown us enough evidence that he is not fully in on um, bringing back Thrawn and just letting him wreak havoc on the universe. There's like these small, tiny hints of a soul there. He's not just completely gone, which we already knew he wasn't a full Sith. He's sort of like this sort of gray Jedi or this person in between the Sith and the Jedi. But I feel like we are being set up for a twist wherein Balin will either turn against Thrawn or maybe he will fall in his attempt to overthrow Morgan Elsbeth's plans. I think she kind of senses too that there is some doubt there. And so I think she has her own suspicions about him. He's not fully on board. He's mostly on board. Let's say he's 2/3, 3/4 of the way there with everything so far. But I feel like there will be a turning point if he's not already planning it. And we should see a twist coming where he either turns on her, turns on Thrawn, and he may not survive the end of this season. But I feel like that twist is coming. That turn is coming. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think with all of his actions, his dialogue, and Ray Stevenson's terrific acting. I mean, he's brought to life a very beloved, universally beloved Star Wars villain. That it's such a shame and very heartbreaking that he's no longer with us. Because I think we would all really love to see what he could do in the future with this character if the character does survive in the show. But yeah, I mean, there's a very very kind of on the nose type theory out there that he's essentially like the inverse of Qui-Gon in a way, and that
Mm.
he is actually just kind of waiting. Like you said, he's going to betray Thrawn somewhat if it's in his plan, if it's an objective he needs to accomplish, and utilize the world between worlds as a time machine. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's maybe trying to change the past because he's aware of the world between worlds. So but yeah, his acting's terrific. Him and Ivana Sakno, who plays Shin Hati.
Shin Hati.
Yeah, they are awesome.
I feel like she's also going to be an important component in his decision making. Morgan, I don't know. Either Shin's going to take something too far and he's going to have to,
Yeah.
like, hey, we don't kind of do that. We don't cross that line. And he will turn then, or maybe Shin gets eliminated by something, someone, and he's going to regret going down this path. Either way, I feel like that twist or that turn is coming. But he's been fantastic. Hold on, my little Jedi just showed up right now. Hi, say hi, say hi. Okay, now run away, run. Cool. We are. Hold on, I talk 1 second. 1 second. We're about an hour away from the start of episode 5. I know David has. LeBron says, "Hi, little one." Thank you, LeBron. I know Dave has a lot to do. I know I got a lot to do, and we want you guys to be able to get ready for it and be prepared. So we're gonna end the show there. Dave, any final thoughts? Any last words before we go and check this episode out?
We're definitely going to see some stuff tonight.
It was enough stuff to put into a theater in like a
Exactly.
handful of locations. So be prepared. Treat it as a Star Wars galactic event because that's how they're treating it. So you should do the same. We will see you guys on the other side of this. We've made it, folks. Star Wars is back to being incredible, and we're all here for it. We cannot wait. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you guys for your comments. And we'll probably do either a reaction video or a post video sometime today or tomorrow. So be on the lookout, folks. We'll see you guys at CadabraCon later in the month. And for the Countdown City Geeks, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining us earlier was Daniel from the Legacy of Nerd. And to my left is one and only Dave Lozano.
May the force be with you.
Have a good night, folks. And we'll see you on the other side.
Retro is San Antonio's most popular 80s and 90s retro store. Band tees, stickers, records, DVDs, jewelry, novelties, electronics, collectibles. Real Retro is your #1 source back to the 80s and 90s. Come relive the best years of your life. Real Retro.